Okay, here is the second type B meso-ionic molecule, and it is the 1,2-dithiolium 4 olate containing 2 sulfur atoms in the 5-membered heterocyclic ring structure. And this whole video is about the synthesis part. We will be talking about 2 different syntheses by which we can prepare these 1,2-dithiolium 4 olate molecules. But before that, I want to go into the nomenclature as well as the structure for this meso-ionic molecule. And as you can see here that it is actually a symmetrical type of molecule such that I can always draw an axis of symmetry here in this way. And regarding the naming here or the numbering here, which can be done from either of these sulfur atom because it is symmetrical. So let us say we are doing it from this side. Let us say this is the first number here, and then second number goes to this sulfur atom. The third one here onto this carbon atom, and then to fourth one to this carbon atom, which is bearing the exocyclic atom here, right? So because on the first position and on the second one we are having 2 sulfur atoms, so it will be a 1,2-dithiolium, and on 4 we are having a single bond oxygen negative, which we used to call it as an olate, so it will be a 4-olate type of meso-ionic molecule. And as you know that we can always draw an equivalent structure. This is the equivalent structure for this type of structure of our meso-ionic molecule, I mean this type. So what I have to do is I have to just place 2 double bonds replacing this positive and this circle here. I have to place 2 double bonds, the first one like this and the second one like this, keeping these 2 double bonds parallel to this symmetrical axis, right? Such that one positive charge will now appear on this sulfur atom in this way, right? And after that, I can always show the ring opening valence tautomerisation in this case, because it is an intrinsic property of all the type B meso-ionic molecules that they undergo valence tautomerisation resulting in their ring opening, right? So what I have to do is I have to simply shift the negative charge here in between the carbon and the oxygen in this way. Because of that, what will happen is these electrons will now shift to this carbon and sulfur, giving this type of double bond here. And finally, these 2 electrons of the sigma bond in between the sulfur and the sulfur, they will now be shifting to this sulfur atom having the positive charge, which you can see here the ring opening is taking place, and now this sulfur, which was having initially the positive charge, will now be dispersed, and it will be simply a carbon double bond sulfur here, right? And this is the second valence tautomer of our meso-ionic molecule, right? And now it's time to have a look on the synthesis. As I have told you in the very beginning that we will be talking about 2 different kinds of synthetic methods. The first one is here, which starts from this type of 1,3-diaryl propane 1,2,3 triones, right? So the R1 group here as well as here is these are the 2 aryl groups, and because it contains 3 carbon atoms, the first one, second one and the third one, that is why it will be a propane molecule, right? And of course on position 1, 2 and 3 we are having 3 double bond oxygen, so it will be a 1,2,3 trione molecule, right? And it is basically it is our main reactant molecule. And the first reagent is the HCl or the hydrochloric acid, right? So now what is going to happen is that this HCl, first of all, it will dissociate and it will give the H positive ions that will be taken up by these oxygen lone pairs, resulting in the formation of a bond in between oxygen and a hydrogen. And of course, because the oxygen is forming 3 bonds, so it will be having now a positive charge, right? And now the chloride ion, I mean the counter ion of our HCl, it will now be attacking on this carbon atom, shifting these electrons or the pi electrons onto the oxygen atom. The reason being that the oxygen being electronegative, it is never happy to have a positive charge, right? And the best way here to neutralize this positive charge is to attract the pair of electrons, I mean this pi electron, towards itself, and that is only possible if some nucleophile attacks on this carbon atom, okay? And in this case, we have this chloride ion, the counter ion of this, I mean Cl negative and H positive. So it will be attacking here, sending these electrons onto this side, giving OH and Cl, and the name is it is known as the chlorohydrin molecule, right? And after that, the second reagent of this very first synthesis reaction is, you can see here it is the H2S gas here in presence of acidic conditions, right? But before that, or before discussing the fate of this chlorohydrin molecule upon reaction with this H2S and HCl, let us first of all talk about the regioselectivity in our first step. That is, that why this HCl is only reacting with this carbonyl here and not with this one, as well as not with this carbonyl here, right? So let us have a look here. So we can say here that the carbonyl here, which is present at position 2, it is more reactive and it is highly electrophilic because of the presence of electron withdrawing groups towards its 3 sides, right? As you can see here, it is having this carbonyl group here, which is electron withdrawing in nature. In the same way, even on the opposite side is present the second carbonyl group, which is also electron withdrawing, we all know, right? And it is also attached to one oxygen atom with a pi bond and a sigma bond, that is also electron withdrawing in nature, right? So we can say that yes, this carbon atom will be having a high partial positive charge, and it will be highly electrophilic and it will be highly reactive, such that in the first step, whatever reagent, I mean HCl, we are adding here, it will be reacting with this carbonyl here first of all, right? Giving this thing and our chlorohydrin. So now let's see that how it will be reacting with H2S gas in presence of acidic conditions. So for that, let me tell you the carbonyls upon reaction with H2S in presence of acidic conditions gives what? Gives this type of intermediate first, simply because HCl will be dissociating and it will be providing the protons in the reaction which will be going to this carbonyl oxygen, and it will be protonating this oxygen here in this way, right? So that a positive charge will now appear on this oxygen, and after that, after the loss of a proton from this HCl, it is still having a chloride negative ion, which you can see here. And moreover, the second reagent, which is the H2S gas, which you can see is present over here, right? And now, because this carbon or the carbonyl carbon is electrophilic, it can be attacked by 2 different kinds of nucleophiles following 2 different pathways. The first one is what? That the chloride ion, of course, can attack here to this carbonyl carbon, sending these electrons here, resulting in the formation of OH and Cl, which will be our chlorohydrin, as we have just seen on our previous slide, right? And there is also present a second pathway in which the molecule of H2S will be attacking here on this carbonyl carbon, sending the electrons of the pi bond onto the oxygen in the same way, resulting in the formation of OH here, and of course a bond formation between the H2S part and the carbonyl carbon in this way, right? This will be having a new bond here, right? And after that, the sulfur having the positive charge will now be releasing a proton in this way, giving what? Giving SH here, right? And after that, because the conditions are still acidic, it still contains the HCl. So what will happen is that the protonation of this OH will further takes place. This OH will be protonated by this H positive ions, resulting in the formation of what? Resulting in the formation of this type of leaving group, right? And we know that this is a good leaving group. It can go out of the system, because when it will go out of the system, the oxygen positive charge will be dispersed in this way here, and it will be forming a neutral molecule which is stable, right? So now what I have to do is I have to just shift these electrons present on the sulfur in this way in between the carbon and the sulfur bond, sending these electrons of the sigma bond onto the oxygen, which is having the positive charge, such that the water will now be going out of the system, and there will now be present a double bond in between the carbon and the sulfur in this way, right? And finally it will be releasing a proton from itself, giving what? Giving a carbon double bond sulfur, something like this, right? So in short, we can say that the reaction of a carbonyl with H2S in presence of acidic conditions such as HCl will be doing what? It will be converting the carbon double bond oxygen into a carbon double bond sulfur, right? So now, because we have some idea that the reaction with H2S in presence of acidic conditions, what will happen to the carbonyl is it will be H2S release of a molecule of water. It is a shortcut. I am just trying to explain this thing here in a shortcut way, right? So here also we are having the H2S molecule. So what is happening? The removal of water will take place in this way, following this whole mechanism, and the carbonyl oxygen will be converted into a carbon double bond sulfur, which you can see here. A carbon double bond sulfur will now be present, right? So that I can now draw here this type of structure in which this oxygen here, it has been replaced by the sulfur, as I have discussed here in this part of the slide. And even this oxygen here will also be replaced by another sulfur atom, which you can see here, right? And after that, what is going to happen is, we know that the Cl here is a good leaving group. So these electrons will shift here onto this side, sending the Cl negative out of the system, which you can see here. And moreover, we will now be having a double bond in between this carbon and this carbon atom, which you can see here. And this will now become a single bond. Moreover, a positive charge will now be present on this sulfur atom in this way, right? And if you look here, the second sulfur atom of our intermediate, it is having two lone pair of electrons. It can act as a nucleophile. Let me write here, it can act as a nucleophile. And luckily, we do have an electrophilic center here in our intermediate, and this is this sulfur having a positive charge, right? So what is going to happen next is that it will attack here on this sulfur atom, resulting in the formation of a bond in this way. But in doing so, a positive charge will now appear on this sulfur atom here, because it will be forming three bonds, right? And after that, let us see what will now happen to this intermediate and how it will be resulting in the formation or in the synthesis of our meso-ionic molecule. That is what? That is the 1,2-dithiolium 4 olate type B meso-ionic, right? So I am moving on to the next slide, which you can see here. I can always draw an equivalent structure for this type of structure. This is the equivalent structure in which you can see here the positive charge which was initially present on this sulfur atom. It is delocalized over the whole of the ring, so I can better show it in this way. Means a positive charge here at the center and a circle here in this way, right? And finally, upon reaction with some strong base like triethylamine, which will be abstracting a proton from here, I mean in this way, and finally it will be giving a negative charge here on this oxygen atom, and this is what you can easily recognize. It is my 1,2-dithiolium 4-olate meso-ionic molecule, this synthesis of which we are trying starting from 1,3-diaryl propane 1,2,3 triones, right? And we have seen that the reaction is quite simple, and what we have to add here is just a molecule of H2S, and we have to provide the acidic conditions such as HCl, and finally we need to add a base, something like a triethylamine. Following all these reaction conditions, what will happen is that this will be converted into this type of meso-ionic molecule. And now let's see what is there in the second reaction. It starts from the 1,1,3,3 tetrabromo 1,3-diaryl propane 2 ohms, right? So you can see here it contains 4 bromos, that is why 1,1,3,3 tetrabromo, and on 1 and position 3, I mean this carbon here and this carbon here, we are having 2 aryl groups. The R1 and the R2 are the aryl groups, and because it contains 3 carbon atoms, so it will be a propane molecule. And on position 2, I mean if I am starting it from here 1, 2 and 3, on 2 I am having what? A carbonyl or a keto group that is represented by a 2 on, right? So this is the reactant, this is the main reactant molecule, and we are discussing the second method of synthesis for our 1,2-dithiolium 4-olate meso-ionic molecule, right? And you can see here the reagent is what it is: 4 moles of potassium ethyl xanthate. This is the potassium ion, this is the ethyl part here, and this part, I mean oxygen, carbon, double bond sulfur, single bond sulfur negative. It is known as what? It is known as the xanthate part, right? So we are adding here 4 moles of potassium ethyl xanthate, and it is reacting with our main reactant molecule, and let us see what type of reaction will be this. Okay, so I can always show my 4 different molecules of the reagent in this type of representation. I have shown them separately, and after that what is going to happen is that this carbon atom here is electrophilic in nature. This is having a partial positive charge because it is bonded to this bromo here, which is electronegative. This one here, this is also electronegative, as well as a carbonyl group here. This is also electronegative in nature, right? So this carbon atom here is acting as the main electrophilic site, such that the sulfur negative of the xanthate group will be attacking or undergoing a nucleophilic attack on this carbon atom in this way, sending the bromo out of the system because it is acting as a good leaving group, right? And after that, obviously the second molecule of the xanthate will also be attacking here after the first step, sending the second bromo out of the system, such that we will be having a picture something like this, okay, in which all the 4 xanthate molecules will be undergoing a nucleophilic attack on these 2 carbon atoms, sending all 4 bromo out of the system, right? And obviously, because we are having 4 potassium ions as the counter ions of our xanthate group, so we will be having 4 molecules of potassium bromide as the byproduct of this reaction, right? So this will be the first molecule of potassium bromide, and this will be the second, you can see here in this way. In the same way, the third one here, and then the 4th molecule of potassium bromide, right? Such that now on this carbon atom and on this carbon atom, we will be having 2 xanthate groups each, right? So you can see here this carbon atom having 2 xanthates, and this one here is also having 2 xanthate molecules, right? And after that, you can see here a resonance is possible here in this structure, which I can show in this way. I mean, the lone pairs on this sulfur atom, they are shifting in this way, giving a double bond here and a positive charge on this sulfur atom, and then the pi electrons are going to the sulfur atom, giving a single bond and a negative charge here, something like this, okay? And now let us see that what is going to happen to this resonating structure. So what will happen is that the negative charge on the sulfur will be acting as a nucleophile, and it will be attacking on this carbon here, sending these pi electrons onto this sulfur atom, resulting in the formation of a 6-membered structure which is stable. I mean, the first member, second, third, fourth, fifth, as well as 6th here, right? So we have a driving force for this attack. That is the resulting, that is the formation of a 6-membered stable ring structure here, right? And now, of course, this sulfur atom will be having a negative charge here, okay? And after that, the charges in chemistry means instability. So what will happen is that it will try to disperse this negative charge. Now there are 2 different ways by which the negative charge here can be dispersed. It will be shifting here in this way towards the carbon and the sulfur bond. Now, either the cleavage of this bond can take place, or it may be this bond cleaving in between the carbon and the oxygen, right? And we know that the sulfur atom is having a large size, so obviously the carbon and the sulfur bond here is a weaker bond. So what will happen here is that when the electrons will shift here in between the carbon and the sulfur, it will be this bond here which will be undergoing cleavage, resulting in the formation of a carbon double bond sulfur here, and a negative charge will now be appearing on this sulfur atom in this way, right? So finally, what is going to happen is that the negative charge here will be shifting in between the carbon and the sulfur bond in this way, sending these electrons of the sigma bond onto this sulfur atom, dispersing the positive charge which was there on this sulfur atom, right? So that we will be having a carbon double bond sulfur from this part of the molecule, and this whole part will now be going out of the system, which you can see is present here, right? The sulfur will now not be having any type of positive charge because of the cleavage of this bond here and the shifting of the electron towards the sulfur atom, right? So now we are having this thing, and if you remember, in place of this carbon double bond sulfur, initially we were having two xanthate groups in the same way, like on this carbon atom, I mean this part here, right? So what has happened because of this type of mechanism or this type of reaction here, the carbon is now having only a double bond sulfur and the two xanthate groups are just being eliminated here. So in the same way, what will happen next is that even these two xanthate groups on this carbon atom will also be converted into a carbon double bond sulfur. In the same way, we have got this carbon double bond sulfur by the mechanism which we have just discussed, right? So using that same mechanism, what will happen is that this will also be resulting in the formation of a carbon double bond sulfur. We will now be having a structure something like this, which I can always represent in this type of structure. This is an equivalent structure you can see here. And finally, the reagent is what? It is the perchloric acid, which will be giving H positive ions. Let me write here H positive ions to this carbonyl oxygen here, giving oxygen single bond hydrogen. Now it will be having a positive charge, right? And after that, the most important step here is what? It is the cyclization. And how it will be happening? The sulfur lone pairs present here, they will be attacking on this sulfur atom, sending these electrons in between the carbon and the carbon single bond. And finally, the pi electrons will be shifting to the oxygen, having the positive charge. And the driving force here is obviously this, because the oxygen, which was having the positive charge, it will now be dispersed because of this type of cyclization here, right? And you can see here now the oxygen here is not having any positive charge. And finally, what is left is the addition of a base here, which will be abstracting a proton from here, giving what? Giving oxygen negative. And if you are able to recognize, this is what? This is our required meso-ionic molecule. And which is what? Which is the 1,2-dithiolium 4-olate, right? So we have just seen two synthetic methods for the synthesis of this type of 1,2-dithiolium 4-olate type B meso-ionic molecule. The second synthesis method is from what? It is from the 1,1,3,3 tetrabromo 1,3-diaryl propane 2-on molecule. And what we have just added here is, to get this type of meso-ionic molecule, we have added 4 molecules of xanthate or the potassium xanthate ester, followed by addition of perchloric acid in the last step, as you have seen here, finally giving this type of meso-ionic molecule. So this is all about this lecture here. Thank you so much.